Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. Hopefully you guys are all doing well out there. It is a crazy morning so far. We're still trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. I got so many questions. There's so many. And nothing's making any sense. I want to know what's going on here. And hopefully we're going to get into it very, very shortly. Okay. So before we get into everything, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Things have been crazy this morning in this trial. So we're going to try to get down to the nitty gritty to all of it about Diddy here in just a minute. So hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, make sure you're hitting that follow button on those platforms. Subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there as well. All right. Don't forget, hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out pascalmerch.com. All right, guys. Man, some crazy stuff going on now, guys. Real talk, some crazy stuff going on. And, of course, I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on. They have resumed, okay? There was a long break, just so you guys know, where both defense and prosecution was in the judge's chambers, okay, while Jane Doe was on trial, while she was doing her cross. Something happened, and it caused them to go into that room and basically deliberate, discuss whatever for a good long time. And apparently, Diddy was not looking very happy about any of that experience. Again, there's a lot that's going on. We're going to be getting straight into it very shortly. But I, just like I was saying before, a lot of us are trying to understand exactly what is going on because there is some wild stuff going on here that just doesn't make any sense. But of course, we're going to get into it and try to figure out what's going on. Then there's also conversations about a cell phone that apparently the feds got a hold of that apparently was being hid by Diddy and his people. Like I said, this has been some wild stuff. Yeah, it must have been about the secret evidence, but I also understand that Jane Doe has been feeling some type of way on the stand as well. At least that's what's being alleged out here. So of course, like I said, we are going to get into all of it and then some here in just a minute. But I'm just grabbing a few things up here so that we can get this bad boy moving. And apparently, allegedly, I don't know if it's true, but I think they're ending a little bit early today. I mean, that's just kind of what I've been hearing circulating out here in the conversations. I don't know if that's entirely true or not, but nonetheless, we're gonna find out. Okay. Even myself, I might have to end, an hour or so earlier than the usual time that we end due to some prior engagements that I actually have to go and take care of as well. But of course, I'll let you guys know about that as we proceed into this whole trial. But this has been wild. It has been an interesting day. There was things that was uncovered or unearthed last night that has bled into today as far as the finding of this new evidence. Okay. And again, very interesting stuff that's going on here. And I don't know about you guys, but I am most definitely here for it. Of course, I'm going to try to get that information about this new evidence that was getting hidden by Diddy and his people. Definitely, we're going to be looking at that as well. Or I'm going to try to find that over the course of this show here. But nonetheless, very interesting things going on here for sure. So make sure you hit that like button down below, crush that subscribe button, etc. Okay. Follow as you guys start to come in. Get comfortable because this has been one bumpy ash ride today. And they've only been in court for, let's just say, they started about, what time is it right now? They started about 2 hours ago or something like that. 2 hours, 2.5 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. And they had to go into the judge's robing room, okay, into his chambers for a significant amount of time. So that bleeds into the time that they have with Jane Doe. And apparently she needs to be done today because she takes a flight overseas later on today. So she needs to catch her flight. Okay. So crazy. All right. So let's get into this. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on here. This is crazy. Today is crazy. So let me grab this here real quick. Get this up here so we can see this together as a family. All right. So, okay. So setting ground rules for Jane's testimony today. So, and then apparently they were saying stuff about like YouTubers that have been, apparently there was a big argument or a conversation about YouTubers exposing this particular Jane Doe on their platforms. And of course, that's causing quite a bit of a stir in the courtroom. And I keep saying this, even in the chat, don't say her name. As respectful as we can, let's just be as respectful as we can to this particular witness. Okay. I know everybody and their mama feels like they know who it is and all that, but at the same time, we don't really know who it is. Okay. So like I said, let us just be respectful and not say the person's name here. And of course, when that person does come out with their book, because for a fact a book is coming, I just feel like all these witnesses are going to come out with a book of some sort. Okay. Me working with Diddy, or, laying in bed with the devil. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. Okay. They're coming. As soon as that comes out, you'll be like, oh, okay. I knew all along it was that person. Damn. So that's what I just say. Hold back. What matters is that she's telling us the information. Okay. And that's it. And Malaya from Down Under. Malaya, good day. Thank you so much for coming in. Yeah. Glad to see you up and running around. You know what I mean? Glad to see you up and at it. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like once you think you're out, they keep dragging me back in. And there's nothing you can do about it. The Diddy, see, he even has that effect on us. Isn't that crazy? He even has that effect on us. Real talk. So he is magnetic. Gah. Okay. So let's get into this. Oh, and here's another thing too. What the world needs now is people like Diddy. Because, there's so much going on. Things are going up in flames in the streets. There's a protest, etc., riots and all that stuff. We just need trials like Diddy to really bring people together. For the most part, doesn't matter if you're MAGA or not MAGA. Most people are coming into one room and being like, yeah, what he did is nasty. He wrong. I agree. Okay, brother. I like you, even though you're wearing that red hat. I like you too, even though you're wearing that blue hat. Let's go grab a drink and we'll just talk ish on Diddy. That's right, brother. Let's go and do that. Just let's not talk about Trump. Hey, you see what I'm saying? Ain't it crazy? He's really bringing the world together. So it's a beautiful thing. So the government wants to bar or limit the number of text messages that Diddy sent to Jane. Interesting. In late 2023 to 2024, saying he knew he was in legal jeopardy in the wake of Cassie's lawsuit. That does make sense if you really think about it. Think about it for a second. See, the government ain't dumb. Okay? The government is saying, not today, Satan. Hear me out. You want to know why? Because as soon as that lawsuit dropped and everyone's like, oh my God, clutch my pills. He's a monster, right? He's sitting there going, damn, everybody thinks I'm a monster now. I can't just go up to any white person's house and say, can I borrow some brown sugar? Can't do that no more. And now everybody's going to be looking at me funny. All I can do is cover my tracks. So if I start sending loving text messages to Jane, it'll show that I'm a good man. Think about that for a second. I didn't mean to call you the B word. My bad. Let's work this out. You do nothing but lift me up. Okay? Some Josh Groban up here. Okay? You lift me up. You know what I mean? He's trying to cover his tracks. That's why the government is basically saying, miss me with the nonsense. Don't even try it. We see what you're trying to do, Diddy, because especially around that time, you were in trouble. So you're trying to cover your tracks. See? They're not dumb. He's trying to cover his boo-hoo-tee, and he's got a huge ass. Okay? Let's not forget that. Okay. Not today, Satan. So Combs wanted to make self-serving statements, okay, that hotel nights and freak-offs were completely consensual events as preemptive legal strikes, Assistant U.S. Attorney Comey said. The defense has attacked Jane up and down. Okay, that's not something that they should be saying, especially with all of this freak off stuff. They should not be going up and down till you say stop. Actually, with her, she couldn't stop. She had to keep going until Diddy said he had enough. But let's move on. So they would attack her up and down by trying to show that she agreed to S acts using Diddy's messages as alleged proof. So the judge appears to be leaning towards prosecution, ruling against the introduction of at least one allegedly self-serving voicemail. So the judge, both sets of lawyers and an attorney for Jane left the courtroom to discuss, away from jurors' ears, her upcoming testimony. Like I said, this is some weird stuff that was going on today. Weird stuff, especially they were gone for, if I'm correct, they were gone for like an hour? Something like that. But anyway, thank God we didn't start super early today. Shoot. Jane back on the witness stand, okay, for more cross-examination. So she took the witness stand following this lengthy closed-door delay to hash out ground rules of her ongoing cross-examination. So defense, Agnifilo, Mark Ruffalo, Janine Garofalo, without revealing the specific nature of his side's argument with the judge's evidentiary ruling, said he fears Diddy could be denied his rights to a totally public trial. In very cryptic arguments, Agnifilo appeared to say his side needs to delve deeper into an event that only Diddy and Jane were party to, and thus the defense wants others to corroborate. In equally cryptic words, the prosecution argued that getting into more detail would be needless. Anyone who has witnessed these events can come forward. The suggestion that they need to say names to get information from the public is nothing more than a pretense to intimidate the witness. So she texted Diddy in 2023. See, now, this is only 31 minutes ago. So they literally had quite the delay. So they literally, the engines just started revving up, which is insane, right? And of course, while you guys get in here, please and thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. Okay, as you guys start to file in, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, let's keep crushing it, and let's keep staying beautiful. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. But hit that like button down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, please and thank you. Okay, we in the 170s now, okay? We in the 70s. This is disco time, okay? The 70s, all right? The 70s. Anyway, moving on. The defense is going back to messages Jane sent to Diddy in October 2023, where she wrote to him that she was, quote unquote, processing some of the trauma, some sort of trauma, and needed time for herself. She wrote that she wanted to please Diddy, though deep down, she wanted the night to end. So, attorney Tenny Garagos, Diddy's attorney, pointed to another message and asked Jane to confirm that she wrote that she knew she was consenting verbally. Garagos also pointed out to the fact that Jane wrote Diddy never knew she was uncomfortable. Jane confirmed that she did send those messages, which is interesting. But here's the thing, the fact that she says here down here, okay, she wrote that, okay, she pointed out the fact that Jane wrote Diddy never knew that she was uncomfortable, but yet she did say to him in other text messages, please make this stop. I'm done. I'm not your little toy. Or please stop using women in this way. Quit plying women with substances and making them do things at your will. We are not your plaything. And you can start doing that by stopping things with me. She even said that in text messages, right? In messages to Diddy. So again, instantly you're wondering what's up with that, right? Sure, she may not have known if he got the memo, but she was definitely sending out that paperwork. Okay. And then, yeah, I get it, just me. She still showed up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Okay. And strip a 7, 8, 9-inch heels. So she still showed up. But she was sitting there going like, yo, I'm done. Right? She was texting those things, but she still showed up, which is, like I said, very flawed, very confusing, right? The defense played a voicemail that Diddy left for the witness, appearing to show Diddy was sympathetic to her feelings after the Cassie lawsuit. But this is after the Cassie lawsuit. So instantly you're thinking, are you sure he was doing that because he felt for her? Or is he doing it because he's starting to create breadcrumb trail of him looking like he's the nice guy? Here's the other thing, too, before we continue on. Actually, let me finish this piece, and we'll talk about what I have in my mind in a second. Combs said he hoped that they could mend their relationship so you can move on with your life so you don't feel like I wasted your life, according to the message. He asked Jane, what will make you feel better? She was probably like, money. But here's the thing. We even had Lauren Conlon on the show. Yeah, this is Sabrina, absolutely. Damage control for show. Without question, damage control. But we had Lauren Conlon on the show. She's a fly on the wall in the room. Okay. She's boots on the ground in that courtroom, listening and watching everything that's going on. Right now, let me just say, she even said that he would go and for the female lawyers, he'd pull out the chairs for them. He would seat them, make sure that they're, he would be an absolute gentleman to the lawyers, to the female lawyers, specifically the female lawyers. Why was he being such a freaking a gem of a gentleman? Because he's doing it right in front of the jury. It's all an act. You got to remember the video that we see him putting his feet on Cassie, who is a woman. He's trying to show that he's the complete opposite of that dude. So as soon as the video came out or the lawsuit came out, then the video came out, for a fact he's doing as much damage control as he can. And he's still doing it right now to this day. Are we surprised that he's sitting there sending out texts or messages like this on voicemail, by the way? because for a fact she'd probably hold on to that and be like, I'm sorry. I want you to move on with your life. So so you don't feel like I wasted your life. I feel you. I know you've been going through pain. You see what I'm saying? He's coming off like he's trying to be the nicest guy in the world when in actuality, he's a butthole. But that's what he's trying to do. Cover his mother-loving tracks. Okay. This is what's so crazy about this, by the way. We just talked about this post, which this post should have been about an hour ago. Okay. But because they were in the judge's chambers for that long, we only have like a few updates. Okay. Yeah, he got a Cosby sweater. A Cosby sweater on as well, which is insane. But so S worker Anton had relationship with another rapper. Witness testifies. So S worker, whose name has come up often in this trial, Anton, who's known to have a relationship, was known to have a relationship with another rapper and his wife, Jane said. Both Jane and Diddy had known in early 2024 that Anton was part of a relationship with this other unnamed artist, the witness said in cross-examination. Okay, which we can already guess who that rapper is. They're not on trial, so we can guess all we want on who that unnamed artist and his, here's a hint, quotations wife bumping uglies with Anton. Just something to think about, y'all. Nah, it ain't the Beehive. Nah, I don't think that at all. They don't give me swinger vibes, okay? They don't give me swinger vibes at all. But there's somebody else that does. And he's got a wife, kind of, sort of. Maybe he has a wife. On and off a lot. She likes to be buck naked for the most part. Just kibbles and bits out everywhere. There you go. You could do the math. T.I. and Tiny, what? Well, actually, let me take that back. Yeah, we heard that they have a very interesting lifestyle too. Okay. They like to share as well, allegedly. Okay. But I'm not talking about them either, though. Okay. Yeah. Unnamed actor has a huge problem right now. We missed the old version of this guy. There you go. Okay, I said enough. Musical genius, real talk, he is. But I don't know if he's got that genius anymore. Now he's just lost his damn mind. So there you go. So Diddy threw a birthday celebration that felt like the prom. Okay, this is what the witness said. So witness fondly recalled Diddy throwing her a birthday celebration that felt like prom in Miami in March of last year. The party included a 5-course dinner and music, as Jane called it, really sweet. The celebration was so moving, Jane said, that she was okay with hooking up with S worker Don at Diddy's direction due to his generosity with the party. Can I just say, this woman has lost her marbles, okay? She is broken. This woman is broken. If we can't look at this and say she's definitely lost her marbles at some point here, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? She has lost her mind. Oh, it was so sweet. So yes, I'm going to smoke that pole right over there. He was so sweet. Thinking of me for this birthday, and then out of nowhere, Don, oh, Diddy, you didn't. A huge juicy hawk. Stop. You're so kind. Yes, I will perform for you. You see what I'm saying? She is broken. And there is not enough super glue and gorilla glue on this planet to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. She is smashed to smithereens. My God. Because after all this, see, this is the problem. Everyone's seeing this stuff right now, and they're going, what is going on, baby? What is going on? What is going on? How is this making any sense? You say he was a torturous person, that he was a terror, that he put you through all these things. And then you tell these stories of like, okay, we had a prom. It was almost like the prom. It was amazing. And then next thing you know, I'm with Don performing for him because I felt so loved from the stuff that he gave me at my little birthday party. Really? Like, what the hell? It just, and see, that's the problem. The jury's going to look at that and keep scratching their head, be like, what? Why? Why? You say no. Okay? You say no, and then now you're saying something else. What's going on? The confusion is it's palpable. The confusion is palpable. So she testifies that she witnessed positive changes in Diddy after Cassie's lawsuit. Yeah, because he was trying to do better. Because at the surface, in the public, everyone's looking at him like a damn tyrant. Okay? There were a number of positive changes in Diddy after Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit alleging he attacked her in November of 2023. And this is all according to Jane. So under cross-examination, Jane confirmed to Diddy's defense attorney that she felt closer to Diddy after the lawsuit was filed because he had to cool down. He had to samadana. He had to simmer down. That's it. He had to simmer down. Yeah, it must be, Adrian, like 100% a trauma bond with a narcissist, for sure. But then it also makes you wonder, what happened to her before? Could she have been a victim in the past? And you know what I mean? And he was able to tap into that in some strange way. And also, I said this before, is this like some weird BDSM type thing? No, I know that sounds weird. I know that people are like, ew, why would you say that, Pascal? But I'm just curious because some people like to be treated like dirt. Some people like to be, punished, right? And then they get a reward. Some people get off on that stuff. Maybe that's something that's going on here, where there's this like, he is in command. He is the master. She's the sub, right? And so she bends at his will. There are days that she doesn't want to do it. Clearly, she talks about that, but she clearly likes where he's like, yeah, go over there and do that. I'm gonna be right here. I'm watching though. You know what I mean? But it's just like a higher level, higher grade, rich and famous level of this BDSM type stuff, right? Maybe I don't know, or he finessed her into enjoying these things by giving her a bunch of substances and then just throwing her into the deep end and saying, "Swim, baby, swim!" Right? And now at this point, she's a damn near Olympic swimmer. She Michael Phelps up in this mother lover now. She a pro now. You see what I'm saying? So it's just interesting, y'all. Very interesting indeed. Let's continue. All right. So the defense attorney, that she felt closer to him after the suit was filed because, like I said, he's covering his tracks. Damage control like a motherfucker. Mother lover. I almost cursed. Sorry about that. She affirmed the characterizations that she felt much more love from Diddy after the suit, whereas before he was often cold and egotistical. She was getting finessed by Diddy. That's what I truly believe. He was trying to finesse her to be like, see, I'm a good man. Instead of him always being like, you ain't nothing. You ain't nothing but a girl, man. I got plenty of you. I don't need you. I'm single. As soon as that thing dropped, he's like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? Has it been good? You're doing okay, though? Is there anything you need? You sure? Okay. Okay, you're special. Be as beautiful as you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So, Garagos, his attorney, asked Jane to confirm that Combs became more apologetic, a better listener, and spent more quality time with her in that time. Duh. Jane agreed that Diddy had done all those things and that she felt that she could assert herself more in 2024 than she had in the relationship previously. It's all because of Cassie. It is literally all because of mother-loving Cassie. Let's take a look. Well, let's go to CNN because they give more, they break down things a little bit better as well, in my personal opinion. They kind of fill in the gaps even more. And then we're going to go into the transcripts because we got both Diddy trial updates and we also have inner city press to look at. Okay. Sometimes they say the same stuff, but it's nice to have both just in case. Okay. And if you appreciate the commentary and the coverage, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below, please and thank you. All right. Crush it, crush it, crush it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. All right. Your boy's working hard out here in these streets. Okay. Please. All right. Wow. No. No. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, at this point, I think everybody bumping uglies. Okay. At this point, I think everybody's out here. All these celebrities, as soon as they get done with an event, just they're out there just smashing. Okay. Straight up stroking. Okay. That's just instantly what I think. All these stars show up for these events, the Oscars, the BET Awards, whatever, right? They all go and they're slathering each other with baby oil. Okay, they're all having their own private sessions of freak offs. That's at this point, I think that's what it is. Okay, if you got another mother loving famous rapper and his wife, okay, having their own versions of freak offs somewhere else in Vegas, this is something that they are all doing. They are all doing this stuff at this point. I have to say allegedly because I don't have any proof of that, but I'm just at that point now where I'm like, okay, they are all bumping uglies. They are all getting to know each other biblically. Okay. And that's it. It's just, that's how they do deals. Okay. I got a 3-picture deal for you, buddy. Are you down to be the next Thor? You know what I mean? Whilst everybody's bumping uglies, he's just like, that's quite a great offer. I'm going to have to think about it, mate. I'm going to have to think about it. I need some peptides and steroids, but, I'm down for it. All right. Let's make a deal. Hold on. Slippery. Too much baby oil. You know what I mean? I know that was a dig at Chris Hemsworth, and he's done nothing wrong. He's innocent that we know of. Just saying, okay? But let's move on. Let's go all the way back. So she's on the stand. Wait. We're going to go back to here, okay? So Agnifilo, okay, asked to put on the record the defense's objection to a ruling judge made in the roving room within the past hour. So, in his chambers. So, judge offered to clear the courtroom as they could discuss the matter openly for Diddy to hear. But Agnifilo said that would not be necessary. So, Agnifilo emphasized the importance of a public trial, noting that public proceedings can't prompt members of the public to come forward with additional information about events described in court. He briefly referenced an encounter that Jane, one of his accusers, described in January of 2024 in a hotel room. She testified on direct examination that while she was separated from Diddy in January of 2024, she traveled to Las Vegas with an unnamed rapper and his friends for a birthday celebration. During that night, a group watched a woman have relations with the entertainer known as, and they keep on saying, it's Anton, y'all. It's Anton. It's not Antoine. It's Anton. Moving on, though, Jane said she never had actual encounter with Anton outside of her hotel nights with Diddy. But when she and Diddy reconciled in 2024, Diddy accused her of cheating. Now, sounds to me like they're trying to expose the unnamed rapper, but okay. Agnifilo argued that the identities of those present at the January 2024 hotel room encounter should be revealed at trial. So he's trying to get these names out here, y'all. Oh man, if I was on the stand, that would be entertaining. Okay. That would definitely be unforgettable. Okay. People be like, what is wrong with him? Is he crazy? So clearly he wants the names revealed. I don't know why he wants the names revealed, y'all. Okay? I do not know why he wants those names revealed. Maybe because he wants to get those people in to testify? I don't know. Or maybe he's trying to get those names revealed so that they can make a statement being like, nah, man, what she said is a lie. We weren't anywhere near her. We don't even know who she is, right? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but that's interesting that he wants those names revealed. Okay, so prosecution countered that naming the individuals would be an attempt to harass and intimidate Jane. So judge said his ruling stands, noting that the encounter, is not among the alleged acts connected to the STing charges that Diddy is indicted with. So again, they're like, it has nothing to do with what he's on stand in this trial for. It has nothing to do with it. So why do we need to talk about it? And that's exactly what the judge is saying. And I agree. I mean, of course, it would have been it'd be a spicy meatball to hear who is the person or persons that she was in the room with, who's this rapper and who's this rapper's wife that was in the room with her doing their own version of a freak off. Absolutely. There's plenty of people that would love to hear that for sure. But at the same time, though, it has nothing to do with this trial. Kind of wish the judge just said, fine, just say it. Who is it? You know what I mean? Just so everyone, you know how many headlines will be coming out? Jane Doe just named the rapper and the wife involved in their own version of freak-offs. It would go like wildfire. And then that person would have to come out with a rap song saying, yeah, not only did I have relations with my cousin, I also had relations with other dudes too. You know what I mean? Or he'd have just a whole new song called Freak Off, something like that, right? But anyway, they're trying to expose your boy. Oh, dear Lord. Anyway. So Jane says after Cassie's lawsuit, Diddy told her he didn't know how she felt and apologized. Again, he had been doing all this crazy stuff. And then now he's like, oh, my bad. I didn't know it was bad like that for you. My heart, it's all love, babe. It's all love. It's all love. Right? So, defense attorney Garagos returned to the time around December 2023 after Cassie's lawsuit was filed. So Jane said she and Diddy were in contact around that time, but it was a difficult period for both. We were both equally pulled in our own emotional battlefields, like every which way. She said she had hit a wall in the relationship, and there was, quote unquote, a lot of me to wrap my head around. And she was expressing her feelings to him while he was simultaneously under fire for a lot of other things, which we already know. Jane confirmed that around that time, Diddy told her he was not aware of how she had been feeling. She testified that he said that he was sorry she felt that way and did not want her to feel like that anymore. At the time, you believed him though, right? Garagos said. She says, yes, I did. From that period on, Jane said Diddy started encouraging her to be more communicative with him. Okay? So Jane says she flew on a music icon's private jet to Las Vegas. Music icon. So definitely not Ice-T. No disrespect. Okay. But a music icon's private jet, and no, that is not Taylor Swift. So they revisited the January 2024 Vegas trip. She said one of Diddy's, she confirmed that she went on a trip with her friend and that they flew on a rapper's private plane. She said Diddy was unaware of the trip because they were on a break at the time. Ross and Rachel, right? So Garagos asked if the rapper was, quote unquote, an icon in the music industry and very close to Diddy. And what did Jane do? She agreed. She also confirmed that the trip was for the birthday of the rapper's girlfriend or wife. Okay, who could that be, everyone? The only person that we could ever say that is married, not married, is his girlfriend, it's his wife, it's his girlfriend, it's his wife, it's his girlfriend, it's his wife, right? Guess who? You can do the math, right? I don't mean to yell at you. I'm sorry, I'll lower my voice. But you can do the math, right? Don't worry, I'll hold. Yeah. Okay. Who says something like that? Because you know for a fact, okay, if it was Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, you know for damn show. You know for damn show that they are married. They are married. Okay? Without question. You're not sitting there going, are they together? Are they not? Are they married? Are they dating? What is going on? The only other person that we know that has that kind of setup where it's really confusing, where some people say it's his girlfriend, it's his wife, is who? Fill in the blank. I don't need to say it. You guys already know who it is. Damn. Okay? Oh, you know why? You want to know why? You got to remember real quick. No, yes, I remember the MTV. I remember the MTV Crib days. Trust me, and I remember that video. I remember that episode with Ice-T. Do you know who his wife is? Coco. She used to make content. That used to be what I don't know if she still does, but that's what she used to do. So of course there'd be a camera on a tripod in the bedroom because she used to make content. You know, she used to model, right? So that makes sense that there would be a tripod in the room, or a camera on a tripod in the room because she made content, right? So sure, I'm sure their life is very interesting. I'm sure very colorful, but at the same time, no, this is not who she's talking about. Trust me, because everyone knows Ice-T and Coco, they're married. That is Ice-T's wife. It is not Ice-T's girlfriend, wife, girlfriend. No. That's his wife. Okay. Like I said, this is blatant. And also, he, with all due respect, okay, he is a legend. Is he a music icon though? No, he is not. With all due respect to Ice-T, okay, doing a fantastic job on Law and Order SVU, doing a fantastic job. Okay, but on some real stuff, icon is another level. Okay, icon is another level, and there's only a few of those that are out here, and there's only one that we sit there and wonder is that his wife or his girlfriend. Okay, and I miss the old music. Okay, I miss the old dude. Okay, so let's move on. So again, she continued to testify about her Vegas trip in which she flew on a rapper's private jet. Jane testified that she and Diddy both knew before January 2024 that the entertainer, Anton, whom she and Diddy had hired for hotel nights, would also travel and spend time with that particular rapper and the rapper's significant other. Anton had told Jane and had told Jane and Diddy. Apparently, that's what she said. She said that he would tell, like, oh yeah, I work for this other couple. Okay. She said she was, quote unquote, a little bit surprised to see Anton at the birthday party or at the birthday dinner, but no one asked how they knew each other. Later that night, 7 or 8 people were in the hotel room watching Anton have relations with a woman on a bed. The rapper, who Jane said she knew from afar, flirted with Jane in the hotel room, and, quote unquote, he said something like, he thought I was beautiful and always wanted to blank me, she testified. She also confirmed, when asked, that at some point she flashed her tatas around the group in the hotel. This is all new information that they didn't say earlier. She didn't say none of this earlier. So she's out there just showing out those memories. Okay. She said it was an, quote unquote, in the moment thing. She's just showing off the merchandise for everybody else to see. They didn't say anything about that. So he turned to this particular rapper, iconic rapper, went up to her and said, man, I've always thought you were fine as hell, and I've always wanted to stop. And then eventually she's just going, yeah, right? Just okay. Jane says a rapper and his partner asked if she knew anybody else in the lifestyle during the Vegas trip. I gotta hit the button. This is crazy. Yay. He's that, well, yay. He's probably like, he's probably not even watching this. Okay. He's probably not even watching this trial like that closely right now, but I'm sure everybody right now, People Magazine is doing their whole profile on him right now. People are, you know what I mean? Now everybody's going to start doing a deep dive into the relationship of those two. Wait for it. Okay. Wait for it. Now it's a lifestyle. Yeah. Now it's a lifestyle. Anybody else in the lifestyle? So, Jane testified that while they were in the hotel room, the rapper and his partner asked her if she knew, quote unquote, anybody else in the lifestyle. She said she reached out to entertainer Sly because at the time I thought Sly was a safe person to recommend. Defense attorney Garagos asked Jane why the couple asked her that. Jane responded that it was possible they already suspected that she and Diddy had been involved in similar activities, or they could have just, quote unquote, picked up that energy from me. I wonder why. Were you motorboating that dude's balls right there in front of everybody? I'm just saying, like, how would they suddenly go, oh, I'm catching up a vibe. You into this stuff, aren't you? Like, what? It's like, wait, I'm in the room with you guys. I follow you guys in here, and now we got two people bumping uglies. I didn't know that was going to happen. You can't just assume that I'm into this. What kind of energy am I giving off? Or is it because I flashed my tatas? It's probably because I flashed my tatas, right? You just think I'm in, all about this. But hold up. You see what I'm saying? You don't just sniff it out. Oh, you into this lifestyle. You like seeing other people, or at least you like bumping uglies in front of other people too, don't you? No. She probably had to have said something to give off the vibe that she was about this lifestyle. Or maybe Anton was in the middle of doing some position and she's like, oh my gosh, it's the, you know what I mean? Oh my Lord, it's the Alabama Slammer. Wow, that is a hard position to hold, y'all. And then, they're like, whoa, how do you know about the Alabama Slammer? Oh, you bought this lifestyle. Do you know anybody else that's into this stuff? Because that's crazy, girl. How do you know about the Alabama Slammer? Ain't nobody know about that. Unless you into this thing, baby. I'm just saying. Like, you got to have some serious core, leg strength, and some serious flexibility to do the Alabama Slammer. Damn. This is some rope. They're doing some gymnastics in the bedroom. I'm impressed. I've been trying to work on that for a long time. And then they're like, wait a second. What are you talking about? How do you know about that? I mean, yeah, you showed us your tatas, but at the same time, how do you know about the Alabama Slammer? What's going on? Jane realized entertainer encounters would be a forever thing. Okay? Forever. Forever, ever, forever, ever? Yeah. Freak off soft forever. You know what I mean? If you get what I'm saying. No. It's a song from a long time ago by that particular person, right? Okay. Well, diamonds are forever, but you know what I mean. Anyway, she recounted a birthday celebration, that he planned for her in Miami in February of 2024. It was the first time they were together in person since breaking up in October of 2023. So it's been a little bit of a minute, okay? So Diddy planned a 5-course meal at the property next to his Miami residence and covered the table with gifts and decorations. So he was love bombing the F out of her, right? She described the romantic gesture as everything she's always wanted from her relationship, which is basically being showered with nothing but gifts. Okay? They took some X after the dinner, she testified. Jane acknowledged that she told the defense in a pretrial meeting that she was willing to have relations with an entertainer in front of Diddy later that night because Diddy did everything she wanted for her birthday, like we heard about before. Oh, he did this amazing thing. It was like the prom. So, of course, I'm going to go and S that D for him because he showered me with so much love. Okay? She also testified that she realized this was just going to be a forever thing with Diddy, referring to these sexual encounters with these entertainers. The jury also saw text messages between Jane and an entertainer, Paul, also the personal trainer, on February 10th when she asked Paul if he had plans on Valentine's Day. So Jane also says after Cassie's lawsuit, Diddy became more loving. How fitting. So Jane, all right, they keep on, I hate that they just get straight to it. We already know who this Jane person is. We already know that she's hiding behind a pseudonym. Damn. Okay. Confirmed that she noticed positive changes in Diddy. after Cassie's lawsuit was filed. She testified that they had had some growth in their relationship after they got back together in February of 2024. I felt like I could assert myself a little more, she said. So she confirmed Diddy acted more loving towards her and spent more quality time with her. She confirmed that she felt closer to him and her love grew stronger. Here's the other thing, too, if you really think about it. After the Cassie lawsuit dropped, not only is he trying to cover his own tracks, but I'm sure there's not a whole lot of women that are willing to stick around and love him right then and there. All the women that he was probably messing with, they're all probably like, I ain't messing with you, man. I'm sorry. I'm over here. That's probably what happened. And he's like, oh, what? I'm all by myself. You know what I mean? But then she's like, but I'm here, baby. Jane Doe just comes out. But I'm here, love. And he's like, well, I still got you. And you know, we have a crazy toxic relationship. So I still got to cover my tracks, but you still here. And so we can still do some things. You know, I'm not just getting cut off cold turkey. You feel me? That could be what it is, right? Which is insane. But the fact that he's like, but you stuck around through the thick and now even through the thin, you know? I'm right here. That's basically what it is. And even so, I keep on looking at this as like, she's going, maybe in her head, maybe there's the other reason why she stuck around, is that she's like, man, this is an opportunity to be the lead. This is an opportunity to be the lead role in his movie. I've been sitting around waiting, right? I've studied all the lines. I've been waiting all this time, and now all his girls disappeared. I'm finally getting cast as the lead. Yes. You know what I mean? So that could very well be what it is too. So that's interesting. So Diddy's accuser says she was shocked to see the video, which we've all seen. So Garagos returns to May of 2024 when the CNN produced or, put out that video exposing Diddy, okay, and what he did to Cassie, okay? So Jane confirmed that she was shocked to see the video and she had never seen Diddy act like that before until she got attacked by him, though, right? Probably a month or two later, or I think it was that month, right? So Garagos asked if Diddy had tried to get into a program to address his actions in the video. Jane said she recalled that. Prosecution objected when Garagos suggested that the program didn't accept him. Why would they not accept him? That's insane. Maybe they're like, no, you are too far gone. You need to go to the other place, to the other program that's a lot more advanced because you are seriously in some serious problems, right? So the attorneys then went to a sidebar with the judge. After the sidebar, Garagos moved on from the questions about the program. Jane confirmed that the months after the attack video, okay, it was very difficult for Diddy. Okay, not a big surprise there, okay? Yeah, they haven't even said anything here too. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Let us get into some of this transcript. Okay, let's go. Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of, a lot of issues, and they were in the robing room for a minute. Okay. Counsel is back from the robing room. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sorry. It's all about people just being in this robing room. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So then, of course, all rise. After that whole debate going back and forth, they're sitting there, obviously just, doing what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, maybe an anger management program. I don't know, some sort of program, which I'm sure they'll get into detail here in the transcripts. But again, or it could have been, a sobriety program or something of that sort. But they did not accept him, apparently. So I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to be attached to his name at the time, or maybe he needed more. The resources that they had surpassed what he really needed, right? Um, or like what he needed surpassed what they were able to facilitate for him. Maybe that's what it is, right? Um, yeah, I'm kind of ready for the moving on from Jane as well, to be really honest. But I'm wondering where Garagos is going with all this. From many people's I'm sorry, commentary as far as what they've been seeing. They're saying that Garagos has been kind of timid when it comes to approaching this Jane Doe. Don't know why exactly, but again, it's time to get to a new witness, in my personal opinion. So I agree with that 110%. So what you really wanted was a cuddle from Diddy. Oh, whoops. Okay, I apologize for how long this took. We did things to save you time. Jane, you're still under oath. Proceed. Good morning. Let's look at your message where you said, I feel as your lover, I wanted to please you, pushed through. So what you really wanted was the cuddle with Diddy, our intimate time. Yes. Tell me about the mobile TV you got him. It was an LG cordless. You can move it around. So, and see your movies on it too, right? Yes. After Cassie's lawsuit went public, how were things? I came to find out that another woman had the same experiences I had. I put out that energy on him, and he was already down. So much, so resentment. I don't know. Everything was hard. Anyway, a hard month? Yes. Let's play this voice note. And it's Diddy saying, I don't want to be in a relationship like this. I don't want to make anyone feel like this. Let's end this cycle so you don't feel like I wasted your life. Are there more messages like this? Yes, there are. Did Diddy often say to you, I'm a solutions person? I just want solutions? Yes, he did. You wrote, I tolerated. I took on a lot in those rooms. Please don't discredit me. And he wrote, never discredit you. Yes, I did write that. You wrote that you wanted $100,000 for each wasted, I'm thinking wasted year, for each wasted year, and more. $450,000. You wrote this, right? You wrote this, right? You wrote that you wanted $100,000 for each wasted year, and more. $450,000 you wrote, right? Yes, I did. And you said you were thinking of, doing something bad to yourself, and he said don't. He cared, right? I don't know about that. You said you didn't have friends at the time. Objection! I can rephrase. You said you talked about your feeling with Diddy because you didn't have other people, right? Okay. Diddy still paid your rent though, right? Yes, he did. The $9,000 from Bear, you had known him from your modeling days? Is that correct? Yes. Did you have to work? Did you have to do any work for the $9,000? No, not really. The rapper you mentioned, he was close with Diddy. Yeah? Yes, he was. So video without sound. So can't see what the video is. This rapper, they would record together. He's also an icon in the music industry, right? Yes. You went to the birthday with the rapper's wife or girlfriend. Did you know Anton traveled with them too? Yes, I did. And Diddy knew too, right? Yes. So when Anton was having relations with this woman, how many people were actually in the room? 7 or 8, but they were just sitting there watching. The rapper was flirting with you. Am I correct? Yes, he was. You flashed your tatas to the room. Who asked you to do that? It was just in the moment. What did the rapper say to you? That he had always wanted to blank me. So he had a crush on you. Yes, he did. How did you bring up Cabral, Sly? They asked if I knew anyone else in the lifestyle. I said yes, and at the time I thought Cabral as a safe and confidential person. That was the rapper. That was for the rapper and his partner, correct? Yes. How did they know to ask you of all people? I think that's one thing that everybody wants to know as well. How did they know to walk over to you and go, you seem to be into this lifestyle? Was it because you said something like, man, he's doing the Alabama Slammer? Like, what were you doing that would make them automatically think that you were about that life, right? Maybe they just picked up the energy or heard that Diddy and I were into that lifestyle. I don't know. You flew to Miami around that time for your birthday, right? Yes. He set up a grandiose birthday for you, correct? Yes. There were candles on the walkway. Yes. It was very, very romantic. His heart was beating. Was your heart beating as well? Yes. I was just about to say that. It was all painted pink and silver, a 5-course dinner, what I wanted from my lover. No ex at dinner, though, right? None. No, none. Afterward, you did end up taking a pill, and he took a pill, and then Don came over, right? Yes, at 1 star. You said you were willing to have relations with Don because of the birthday party, right? Yes, it was nice. This is between you and Paul Arthur, in which you asked, do you have plans for Valentine's Day? Correct? Right. You said you wanted to see Paul as a person? Yes. You said Cassie's lawsuit. You said after Cassie's lawsuit, you saw changes in Diddy, right? Yes, I did. You said Diddy would write to you, I'm single, I'm polyamorous, and that hurt you, correct? Yes. After the lawsuit, he went to saying, we're in a relationship. You're my girlfriend. That meant a lot to you at that point, right? It did. See what happened right there? At first, it's, I'm a man, I'm single, I'm polyamorous, I got a lot of girls. Deal with it, girl. You ain't the only one, man. You ain't the only one, Jane, right? And then as soon as everything comes crashing down, he turns over and he's like, you're my girlfriend. We're in a relationship. It's only me and you now, because she's the only one that's sticking around. Think about that. Everybody else, I'm sure, is like, I'm out. And then on top of it, it is manipulation, because he's trying to do everything he can to get people on his side. So when he does end up going to trial, like moments like this, she sits there and says, he's a good man, right? Just saying. The manipulation, it was almost like a switch went off. And the manipulation went to a whole other thing. I'm going to kill her with kindness, right? So that meant a lot to you, that he was calling you the girlfriend and saying that we are in a relationship, right? It did. It made me happy. So when you saw the video of Diddy laying hands on Cassie, you felt sick. I did. That was not the man that you knew, right? Right. Sidebar. Then they come back. Garagos continues. You remained in contact with Diddy after the video, though, right? Yes, I did. You stayed in Miami with him for a few days and then left, right? Yes, I did. He flew to LA in June with his children. Yes. Fair to see Diddy posted about his road trip with his children on social media, correct? Yes. This is a photo of how you set up the house. Some setup by you, some by Jonathan, right? Yes. And this is a big bottle of, I don't know how to pronounce that. Click quant. I don't know how to pronounce that. But I'm a big bottle of alcohol. All right. And this is a photo of the patio, right? Yes. You were drinking champagne, right? Yes. Now it's 8:30 p.m. Already dark outside. Tequila shots, but no X yet, right? Right. Jonathan brought the candles too, right? Yes. Can you play the video? Then it's music and the voice of Diddy, champion Boston Celtics. Half an hour later, you were fighting, right? Yes. You testified you called him a P word, even though you knew she was not underage, right? Right. And you pushed his head into the counter. I did. You had never had a physical altercation with him, though, before then, right? I had not. You pushed him medium hard? Yes. And threw a candle at him, too, right? Yes. When you say you locked the door, was it a button? Yes. So he did not force a physical lock, but a button lock. Yes. What was he saying? That I'm crazy? And then there was a whole bunch of yelling. And then you go into the closet, right? Yes. You take out your working. You take your working out. Okay. You take your working out seriously, right? Yes. But you did not put on active wear, but another dress? Why? Because I could put it on easily. So after the altercation, you ran and hid behind a wall. Where was your phone? Back in the house. When you went back, you saw Diddy. He was out in the street. This had to have been hours by this time, right? Yes, it had. You were angry and screaming and calling him the P word. I also called him a monster. But he didn't kick you again? He didn't. You punched him in the back of the head, and he punched you. He punched me twice. And then they go into a break. Now, the judge says during this break, I'd like lead counsel and counsel to Jane to come to the roving room. So Agnifilo says, I'd like to do this in the presence of Diddy. If this is about, and then of course, prosecution says, if this is about the issue we discussed in the roving room, we have concerns. So they said, okay, sidebar. And now we're going to be sitting here waiting forever and ever and ever for them to do something, which is interesting. So they do break. Okay. So they did break for lunch. Okay. They did break for lunch about 3 minutes ago, which is a good thing. Okay. Because that gives us an opportunity to look at some things. And then of course, I'm probably going to go and get some lunch myself during this short break. But what's interesting about this, it's almost as if the defense is really trying to do everything they can. Well, one, it just felt like they were really trying to expose the other rapper's name. Now, here's the thing. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not for that if that's the case, right? If it's going to, there's no need to expose anyone if they're not on trial. But it is very interesting that those people were there. And could be a question of, are they trying to say that so that they can get the person in the room as a witness? If the names are mentioned, maybe they can bring that person in as a star witness, right? For the defense. He's here to speak out on for Diddy. But you got to remember, if it is who we think it is, which it clearly is, I don't think we want someone like him on the stand. I don't, or actually not we. I don't think Diddy would want somebody like him on the stand. He's going to talk crazy. Okay? You know how he is. He's gone, y'all. He is too far gone. To put him on the stand, it could be, well, I mean, it could be disastrous for Diddy. That could be disastrous for him. But, you know, he might be the Hail Mary that Diddy needs. I don't know. Okay? But let's take a look at this. Jane says that she and Diddy argued about another woman in June of 2024. So she testified about an argument that they had on the night of June 18th, 2024. She estimated by the time the argument began, they had already consumed 2 shots of tequila and at least 2 glasses of champagne. She confirmed that the woman they were arguing about lived in Miami and was able to spend more time with Diddy because of her proximity. She also confirmed that she and Diddy had argued about this woman before. I think it was just a ball of emotions that night. There was a lot of just resentment for so many things. Yeah, kind of everything came to a head. Everything just kind of boiled up to this big moment, right? She confirmed that she called Diddy the P word, even though the woman was not underage. She also called him disgusting and a monster. When she felt like the fight was escalating, that's when she went into the bedroom, locking the door. Now, Garagos asked her to confirm that Diddy had not touched her at this point, but kept saying, "Are you just not going to talk to me?" So that's when he kicked the door open, okay, to the master bedroom, and then she locked herself into the master bathroom. She yelled at this point that she hated him and wanted him to leave and leave her alone. Jane recalled Diddy saying that I was crazy, a lot of yelling, like, "You're not going to talk to me." So then Jane on the fight, okay, in that fight, "I couldn't breathe at one point," she said. So he kicked the door open. She locked herself in the closet. She slipped out of the tight dress that she was wearing and put on a loose dress that she had put on quickly. She was also not able to change her strapped high heels before he kicked the door open. So she ran down the stairs, heading for the front door. Diddy caught up with her, kicking her in the back of the leg, causing her to fall to the floor. She testified that's when Diddy pulled her up to her tippy toes in an actual chokehold. All right. And she couldn't breathe. Garagos asked to confirm that she previously told the government that she, quote unquote, almost couldn't breathe. Almost couldn't breathe. Okay. Doesn't change anything. If he put his paws on her, he put his paws on her. Referencing Jane's previous direct testimony, Garagos asked her to confirm that the video she took in the days after the altercation showed injuries around her face, but no marks on her neck. So Jane agreed. Jane left the house and hid outside for a couple of hours before returning to her home. She testified, echoing her previous testimony. So her testimony hasn't really changed. But what they're trying to do is like, oh, you said you couldn't breathe, right? You said you almost couldn't breathe when you were getting, when you're doing your direct with prosecution. Now you're saying that you couldn't breathe. It's like, come on. But Jane confirmed that when she got back to the house, she was still very upset. She confirmed that she brought up the woman that they'd been arguing about again and again, called him the P word, even though the woman was not underage. So she testified that she and Diddy went onto the patio and she punched Diddy in the head. That's when he punched her twice in the eye and on her forehead. she said. Sheesh, y'all. That's just, yeah, it has to be about Young Miami. But it's weird because they've been saying her name. They've been saying Young Miami's name. So it might be a whole other girl. It could be a whole other woman that she's talking about, that she's upset about. Because they've said Young Miami's name in this trial. In fact, Garagos has said her name a couple times. So you'd be, so it's not uncharted territory to bring up Young Miami if the woman that she had a problem with, again, during this, that was like the start of this whole altercation in June of 2024, there'd be no reason for her to just say, I was upset about this other woman. They would just say, yeah, Young Miami, right? They would just confirm it. And why were you still upset about the Young Miami situation? Whatever it may be, right? So it's not Young Miami. It's a whole other woman. Who that is, we don't know, right? So it will be interesting to see what they say there. Yeah, they're going to be back at 12:15. But that's the thing. They're in that in the judge's chambers again. Okay. So here's something that's interesting here too. She alleged that Diddy began his own attack on her in the hallway after she exited the closet, and that she ran away and hid behind a wall outside for 2 hours. But of course, they are trying, revisiting this whole situation because they're trying to make it seem like she was being viciously attacked by Diddy because of what she did to Diddy, not the other way around. Okay. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, hey, wait a second. He didn't just randomly lash out and put his hands on you. You started that fight and then he ended it. That's basically it. That still doesn't justify anything, right? He should have just got up and walked away, right? But that's not the case here. See what I'm saying? So interesting, right? Very, very interesting. But hold on real quick. Let's see what Law and Crime has to say about all this. They're in their lunch stream. Shout out to Law and Crime. Okay. I'm gonna quickly take a quick bathroom break and all that, and then I will be right back because we still got more going on here. Shoot, she was supposed to be done by lunch. She was supposed to be done by lunch break, and that's not happening right now, as you guys can see. So things that we had planned for today might be, or not that but things that prosecution had planned for today is probably going to get pushed to tomorrow. So again, this is a very interesting situation that's going on. But I'll be right back, guys, in just a minute. So I'll see you guys very shortly.
Helps more than she hurts because she corroborates what Cassie was saying. Cassie had issues in her testimony too, because at times she consented, and it's up to the jury to decide whether or not they believe that someone can give consent and then take it back. And then maybe say yes, but because she was coerced into it. It's the same type of dynamic with Jane. Yes, she seemed to be more loving to Diddy down the road, but overall, I do think she corroborates Cassie, warts and all, because life is complicated. These relationships are complicated. It's important that the jury understands that you can consent at some point, and then you could say no, and it's still rape, and it's still human trafficking.
Yeah, one of the things you have to be thinking about here, Rich, is I don't get the sense this, like when they were cross-examining Mia or they were cross-examining Brianna Bongolan, it seemed to me they were going really strong to say, you're not telling the truth about you being sexually assaulted. You're not telling the truth about you being dangled off a balcony. And you might be making it up for whatever reasons, financial motivations, I don't know. I'm not getting the sense that they're being that aggressive with Jane in that line of questioning. I interviewed Mauricio Padilla for Sidebar, and he goes, she could be a victim. She could be a victim of a toxic relationship. She might not be a victim of a crime, but she's still potentially a victim in all of this. And it makes me feel the way they're cross-examining her and what they're cross-examining her about is almost putting the prosecution in the hot seat, saying that her testimony doesn't really amount to sex trafficking or racketeering. And it's, the idea of what would be her incentive to come forward and testify. She was issued a subpoena. She doesn't have much choice to testify here.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that they have the same ammunition against her they have against some of the other witnesses. To me, the strongest thing she says for the prosecution's case is when she testified that after hearing Cassie's story come out, she realized that she was a victim too and that this had happened to another person. And that's exactly what the prosecution wants the jury to come away with. The prosecution wants the jury not to think that this is just something about Diddy's relationship with his longtime on again, off again girlfriend, Cassie, that can be explained away as a toxic relationship and a one-off. But this is about fundamentally who Sean Combs is. Look at the way he treats other women. Listen to these voice messages. Look at what he does. That's what they're trying to prove.
By the way, Tony Topes came back, gave a little bit more context about that hidden phone. He goes, it is device 1. Diddy had sent KK messages confessing things. Tisa Tells said it is the court records. They didn't find the phone during the raids. Device 2 led them to device number 1. And then he writes, I don't know, LOL. Yeah, we'll try to figure that out and sort through it. Okay, this is a question for the whole panel. I'll start with you, Rich. It's a great question. This is from Allison Thompson. To the panel, I feel most of our panel guests have a slightly different angle with responses. Has any of your thoughts and opinions changed at all compared to what they were when this trial started? I'll start with you, Rich.
I don't think so. I think, fundamentally, I thought and I still think that they were going to be able to put on evidence demonstrating that he's a bad guy, demonstrating physical abuse. I thought they were probably going to be able to fulfill the elements of these prostitution and sex trafficking charges. And for me, the real issue was always and still is, can they prove a RICO violation? Can they prove all of the things beyond a reasonable doubt that are wrapped up in a RICO violation? I don't have a different view of that than I did at the beginning. And I don't think anything's happened in the trial that really so far has thrown me for a loop.
I'll tell you what, I'll get the answers from Safa and Dave on the other end. We have to take a break. Why? Because Elizabeth Milner's outside of court. So I want to get her breakdown about what's been happening today and also have her answer that super chat question from Richard Esau. We'll be right back right after this. Stay with us. All right, welcome back, everybody. So we have with us Law and Crime's in-court reporter, Elizabeth Milner, who is back with us, going to be answering all of your questions before she has to jump back into the courtroom. She was there for all of the testimony today. She's been there for all the testimony for every day. Elizabeth, it's great to see you. So besides the questions, like from El Spelunker, who says, will Elizabeth write a tell-all book after this? Or a comment from Tablet Lingua, who says, Elizabeth for president. Besides those great comments, see, you already got one vote. 2 votes. You have my vote. Okay, so besides those, we had this super chat question from Richard Ezios, excuse me, and it says, can you please dive in and elaborate about this bombshell phone evidence that was filed June 9th by the prosecution that they're trying to bring in? Do you know what this is about, what this could be about?
Yeah, so I think it kind of could possibly be about, as far as the prosecution goes, is that the government wanted to enter some note entries that Jane had made in her phone. This was after Cassie's lawsuit, and they wanted to bring this up under redirect. And so there was kind of some arguments about it this morning, but it seems like from the government's perspective, they really wanted to get in one particular, at least sentence from this voice note or from this note in Jane's phone app, where Jane had expressed in December of 2023 that she felt manipulated and she felt obligated to be doing these hotel nights about 98% of the time. The government, in their argument this morning, was saying this kind of rebuts the cross-examination as far as Jane, as far as the questions that the defense was kind of posing to Jane, as far as just her willingness to participate in these hotel nights. But according to the government, they want to use this particular sentence, at least from my understanding of it, just so that way they can kind of help rebut this under redirect. However, they should have possibly introduced this under direct, but I think given where the cross-examination has gone, that they were trying to introduce more exhibits as well too. But it seems like from their perspective that they just wanted that one little piece of sentence, because it seemed like the judge didn't want all of these exhibits to be put in under redirect. But the judge said that he'll reserve his ruling as to that one sentence. So we don't know if that sentence will be admitted, if the jury will hear this particular note yet, but I believe that is the answer to your question, and I hope I answered it well.
Okay. What about this? We got a question from Michaela, and this is really interesting because I can't get a sense of it either based on the reporting. Do we know why testimony was delayed today? I saw it was due to an unknown issue, but wanted to ask if you may have heard anything. I mean, this just came up again right before the break. It seems that the judge had even wanted, or the prosecution even wanted, Sean Combs to be a part of this meeting. That is, there was some issue that was discussed in the roving room. They have concerns. Do you have any idea what is going on in the judge's chambers?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have no idea what's going on. And I think a lot of us have been kind of scrambling to figure out what exactly is happening, because it seems like from both sides, they're being very tight-lipped about this. But from the defense's perspective, Sean Combs wasn't in the back for the conversations that were had in the roving room or the chambers room, and it wasn't being transcribed either. So he wasn't able to follow along. So from the defense's perspective, they wanted to make sure that their client was able to be a part of these discussions. But here's what we do know. I'm going to wait for the ambulance to pass real quick. Okay, now we're good. But as far as just what we do,
so Elizabeth, it's super loud, super loud. I'll jump in. I'll jump in as we wait for this to happen, because it's, you're in downtown New York. Okay, so very rude. They're interrupting our show, by the way, but it sounds like an emergency. So there you go. Okay, back to you, Elizabeth. So now talking about what happened with this issue, as far as you know.
Yeah, of course. So what we do know is that this was a conversation between both parties, so the defense as well as the prosecution. But also, I think what the interesting part is, this was a conversation between Jane's attorney too. And so it was all kind of 3 different parties in the back in the roving room discussing this. And so court was delayed for a while this morning. It's been a really weird morning this morning. There was stuff going on before court happened. There was stuff going on once court started. And so it really kind of delayed the proceedings. I don't think the jury even sat down in the jury box until close to maybe 11 o'clock this morning. Now, mind you, court was supposed to start at 9 a.m. this morning. So it really was a significant delay. And a lot of us were kind of scrambling to figure out what was going on. A lot of rumors kind of swirling. So we don't know the full answer. And we were hoping to kind of get an answer about what possibly they were discussing before the lunch break. But it seemed like from both sides, the government and the defense, they kept it tight-lipped. The judge ordered a sidebar. Obviously, that white noise was playing in the background. It was super loud. And we were were thinking, okay, after the sidebar is over, maybe they'll talk about it. And then they were like, okay, lunch break, everyone. And so then lunch break happened. So unfortunately, we still don't know the full scope of what was going on, but it seemed like a very important conversation that was being had because it took so long. I think Diddy really wanted to be a part of it because he seemed a little kind of agitated that he didn't know what was going on. And the defense attorneys were kind of shielding him, talking with him, whispering with him as they were kind of trying to figure out, I think, from their own end what was happening too. Well,
I'll tell you, the judge upheld this ruling where the identities of these people that were involved in a January 2024 incident, they will not be disclosed. This regarded a trip to Las Vegas where she, Sean Combs, and this group, including an unnamed rapper, they had apparently watched this kind of voyeuristic sex session, this woman who had sex with an entertainer that both she and Combs had used in the past. But the judge said that this is not among the alleged acts connected to the sex trafficking charges that Combs faces. So you can see why they made that ruling right there. Okay, this is a really, really important question about the jury. This is from Leg 7K. A question for Elizabeth Milner. Now that the cross-examination for Jane is coming to an end today, have you had any insights and thoughts on the jury's overall reaction to Jane?
How they're feeling about Jane necessarily. I think there were times maybe during, especially her cross-examination, because I think kind of the issue is we hear one thing under direct and you feel for her, and this kind of applies to other witnesses too, where you really kind of feel for them while they're under direct. But then when you kind of peel back the layers just a little bit more under cross-examination, you're kind of learning more of just the scope of everything. So whether it be the text messages, whether it be even her kind of willingness or alleged willingness to participate in these hotel nights and possibly being fine with them, you feel like you start to kind of learn a little bit more and a little bit deeper under the cross-examination. So for example, when they were talking today about this unnamed rapper and his girlfriend / wife who was going to Vegas and Jane was going along with them, when the jury saw who this unnamed rapper was, because unfortunately we still aren't able to see the exhibits, I did see one juror in the second row kind of going, interesting. So I feel like as far as just where their heads are at, I don't really know. There are also times where like I'm seeing them kind of either looking away or I'm seeing them looking directly at their screens, but I'm kind of thinking, okay, are they wondering how much longer is this particular witness going to be on the stand? How much longer are they going to continue to hear what feels like the same thing over and over again? And they're probably wondering why there's been so many holdups today as far as court starting, court ending, and just the overall testimony too.
Yeah, they don't have as much information as we do, including how every piece of evidence fits into the overall case. Before I let you go, Elizabeth, we talked about the jurors. Let's talk about Diddy. ATX Stanley asks, question for Elizabeth, what has Diddy been doing while the witnesses testified? Does he stare at them and nod or shake his head or doodle on a notepad? What is he doing?
So from what I could see of him, because I do have a tiny bit of an obstructed view today, but what I have seen of him is he is listening to Jane's testimony. I do see him when he is looking, it's either looking at Mark Agnifilo, who's normally sitting right beside him, possibly chatting with Brian Steele at points, who sits on the other side of him, and then kind of passing notes like he normally does, or just looking at Tenny Garagos do her cross-examination of the witness. And so I haven't seen the nodding over at the jury like I've seen him do for other witnesses per se, but he seems to, as far as just the events that happened this morning, it seems like he's still kind of listening to all the testimony, and if there's anything that they want to be asking, Diddy's definitely writing down that in a note, passing it off to his attorney so that way they can pass it off to Tenny Garagos.
Elizabeth Milner, I know you have to jump back into court. Thank you so much. I'm going to see you later for our sidebar, our recap of the entire day's testimony and events. I'll catch you then. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so I'm going to continue the conversation, and I'll get back to the question that came before about, has your opinion changed? But before we do that, Safa, this is really interesting. So the judge said that there is a certain audio recording from December 2023 that is not going to be allowed into evidence. And the prosecutor here had argued that by that time, so Cassie had already filed her lawsuit, that Combs was allegedly making a record, maybe a video record, an audio record, that he was trying to paint a certain narrative, that he was trying to craft a narrative about what was going on with Jane. And it's a self-serving false narrative in the recording. And if that's true, I'm surprised that he wouldn't allow it in, but also, doesn't that go into other allegations that we've heard before? I mean, Mia testified that D-Rock Sean Combs' former bodyguard had reached out to her after Cassie's lawsuit, was kind of trying to seem to suggest that, everything that was going on with Cassie and Sean, it was all normal. It was a typical relationship, right? And that he was trying to get Combs to reach out to her. And he's already been accused of trying to influence witnesses and reach out to them and tamper with testimony. I mean, look, doesn't that make up some of the racketeering charges that he faces, the racketeering charge that he faces? So I find it interesting that the judge wouldn't allow this in because it seems quite relevant to the case.
I would think that it would be relevant. There's certainly evidentiary reasons that the judge may not have allowed it in. I think that whatever the note or recording might indicate could, of course, be something that would reflect possible witness tampering. But at the end of the day, if the government had this item in their possession, I assume that they would have included it in a superseding indictment against Mr. Combs, and to date, they still have not. So that's one thing. Not only that, but with respect to the voice note, one of the things that comes to my mind is, was it completed so that he could turn that over to his attorneys for legal representation or for legal purposes? And of course, correspondence between us and our clients, they're confidential and privileged. So could that be the issue? The first things first that the court is going to look at with regard to any piece of evidence that comes in is it relevant? This certainly could be relevant. Then the court will do the balancing test of whether it's probative or versus prejudicial, things of that nature, and any other further inquiry that the court needs to make to determine if this is a piece of evidence that could come in, and also could it be properly authenticated. So anything that comes in, videos, voice notes, things of that nature, they need to be properly authenticated. If this is Mr. Combs just making a note to himself with regard to his defense and things like that, and he's not going to get on the stand to testify, then how does the government try to get that in? So that would be my possible reasoning as to why this is not going to be allowed for the moment, at least.
Dave, it's come out that we believe the prosecution's last witness, or maybe their last witness, will be a summary witness. So Danny asks, what is a summary witness?
Well, first off, I really appreciated Safa's comments just now. I think she's right on, because I didn't understand why they wouldn't be allowed to introduce that clear probative evidence against Diddy. And as far as a summary, well, and when you put on a case, you like to have someone who's a storyteller who can lead you through all the events of the case. And then at the end, you may want someone to be able to sum it up, someone who can connect dots, someone who is not just there for one small segmented reason, but who has knowledge about everything. Who would have knowledge about everything is KK, but she's not reliable.
Let me, I'll talk about KK in a second, because we got a question coming in about this. But Dave, does it have to do anything with, like, there's a series of charts, or there's so much voluminous evidence that they kind of summarize it in a way, because you can't just go through every piece of it? Is that what a summary witness may do as well? And if so, I'm not entirely sure what all the charts would be.
No, it's not like an expert who then just does the job of the attorney. That's what closing argument is for. Right. The closing argument is when you summarize it, you can bring out your charts and the demonstrative exhibits. But no, the witness would just be someone who has something to offer, some probative information to offer, but can tie everything together. That's what they're talking about here.
Okay, Rich, you ready for this? Talk so much about KK, Christina Coram, who's been brought up so many times. I love our audience, Rich. I love our audience because they're so in tune. They have such good questions, and they make such good points in our polls too. We put a poll up. Who do you think the defense's first witness is going to be? 62% say Christina Coram. We have 17% who say Stevie J. 11% say Alex Fine. This is Cassie Ventura Fine's husband. You ready for this? 8% say Diddy, that he's going to take the stand. But 62% think, we've been talking so much, Christina Coram has to be a prosecution witness. Is she going to be a defense witness?
To say what? I mean, first of all, what is she going to say in his defense that would be helpful? And second of all, if the prosecution doesn't call her, you're really going to put her on the stand and have her be cross-examined by the prosecution? That's your strategy? I just don't see that happening. I don't know what she would offer that would be useful defense evidence. And I don't know how that would outweigh what would probably happen on cross.
Let me tell you this. If they call her, she's like, I'm not saying she'd say it in this way, but basically there was no criminal enterprise. There was no criminal agreement. He was doing his things. We helped him here and there, but I didn't know what he was up to. Yeah, we set up hotel rooms. We thought it was for him and Cassie. We didn't know who he's getting involved with it. We stay kind of out of that. Covering up crimes, not really. Like if she was supposed to be the connective tissue for racketeering and she's not that, it makes me wonder, that's maybe why the prosecution didn't want to call her. I don't know.
Well, by the way, so think about the optics of this, right? The defense calls her. So now she is acting on behalf of Sean Combs as a witness for his defense. And they cross-examine her. And I think that makes it even stronger that she's connected to the alleged criminal enterprise and the alleged criminal conspiracy, because now you have her at trial testifying on their behalf. Whereas if the prosecution calls her as a witness, then there's some thought, oh, maybe she's made a deal with the prosecution. Maybe she's turned on Diddy. Maybe she's doing this to save her hide. If she testifies for Diddy, she doesn't have any of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw this to Alex, our producer, just asked, and I'll throw this to you, Safa. Could KK be called as a rebuttal witness after the defense? Oh, well,
Not sure who you want to answer
well,
that.
I threw it to you, Safa. But look, I got to say, Dave has been jumping up and down about that. So let me throw it to Dave first.
Gucci Bell
Oh,
asked-
no, give it to Dave.
All right, no, I think yes. I think she is not going to be called as the defense's first witness. She's not going to be called as a defense witness. So I agree with Lawful Riches, by the way, that's his Twitter handle. I agree with Lawful Riches on that one 100%. I'm surprised that our audience would say like 68% said that she would be the first witness. That doesn't make sense. But would she be a rebuttal witness for the prosecution? Yeah, very possibly. I think she is that thing that hangs over the defense. Better watch out what you say, because we're going to bring her in and she's going to do great damage to you guys because she knows everything.
So, Safa, I'm going to throw this one to you. You saw our poll. 8% think Diddy's going to be called to the stand. Well, actually, that was not who the first witness is going to be. They think Diddy's going to be the first witness. Well, Safa, Shady Goat, phenomenal name, by the way. Shady Goat asks, is there a chance they're going to put Diddy on the stand? And what are the benefits of doing so? We know the risks. What are the benefits of doing so?
There is a possibility that Diddy does decide to take the stand. Anytime that, it now becomes the defense's case in chief, the defendant does have the ability to testify if they choose. We as the attorneys advise them as to whether or not we think it's a good idea. And more often than not, it is an absolutely horrible idea. So I would assume that Diddy's attorneys are going to advise him not to testify. Whether or not he will listen to what his attorneys tell him or not is to be determined. If he does testify, he will be subject to cross-examination.
If he does, it's going to be wild. If he does take the stand, I doubt that he will. Okay. I doubt that he will. If he really doesn't want to get he'll get cooked by prosecution. That's just what I think. But I don't think he would. But at the same time, given the fact his nature of him being such a control freak and all that, I could see him doing it anyway because he's so, he's a megalomaniac. He's narcissistic. He is such a control freak. I could see him thinking that hey, I can sway this whole entire jury to believe me and like me. All they need to hear is me talk, and then he could just put on the charm, say what he needs to say. But I don't know. We'll see about that. We will see about that. Now, before we go into the actual information on the trial, the transcriptions and all that, there is something I do want to share with y'all, because this is something I think is very interesting, okay? To say the least, make it make sense. I saw this earlier today, right before we went live. Make it make sense, Mims, okay? Shout out to Mims, real talk, okay? He's a friend of the show and all that. He went on to live, or he did a live, a very, very quick live, talking about how Diddy was just caught hiding evidence. He did talk about some other things about content creators exposing this Jane Doe and all that. And of course, I agree with what he's saying. We're skipping through that stuff because we've already talked about that ad nauseum. Long story short, there is no reason for us to be putting her name out there at all. I understand speculation and all that, for those who are not in the courtroom, but apparently somebody been out here Some content creator was in the room, walked out of the courtroom and started blabbing her real name. And of course, now that's flying all over the place. And of course, that's not good for for the content creators that are actually exposing her name out there too. Okay. It can actually come back and bite you in the butt as well. Okay. So long story short, that's just what's going on. Okay. At least with the Jane Doe stuff. Okay. So hold on. Okay. So I just wanted to play a little bit of this. I don't want to play the whole thing, okay? But he did talk about how this evidence was discovered, and it's very weird. So we're going to take a look at this, and I'm probably going to speed it up so we can get straight to the meat and potatoes about everything. Speed it up just a tad. Let's rock and roll. Oops.
Have like the same journalistic integrity. I get it, but SDNY's contempt of court accordingly. So just a warning to all closing the witness. So figure it out. I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you it's probably not. Following this case has been extremely interesting because Diddy has been allowed to move around like a gangster his entire adult life. But one of the things that was recently unsealed was the fact that Diddy actively knew that there was a device that the government did not have. So he reached out to, actually, let me read it to you really quickly.
Hiding evidence, y'all, which is insane. I'm still trying to find the paperwork. I haven't found it yet, but it's so crazy, okay? It's so crazy that this exists, okay? It's so crazy that this is actually happening, that he was hiding a device that apparently had stuff on it. And even so, even if he was to factory reset the phone, okay, kind of like what Pig Vomit did, okay, if you don't know about the Stephen Stearns case, the Madeline Soto case, you had a piece of trash like Stephen Stearns, who I actually call Pig Vomit. He said, "Oh yeah, I accidentally factory reset my phone." Didn't matter. They were able to do their digital voodoo that they do, and they got countless hours of content, photos, videos, etc., off of that phone. Disgusting content, okay, that no person should ever have in their phones, okay, ever. And he factory reset that phone, and they were still able to retrieve a gang load of stuff. So even if he was to factory reset this phone that's just out there, that he was hiding, they still would have been able to do their magic and figure this whole thing out. Just so you guys know, okay? So if you think that you're about to get arrested and you got some spicy content on your phone, especially may you rot and may you get caught red-handed if you got nasty, dirty content on your phone like this, okay, like what Pig Vomit had. There's no escaping it because they can use their digital people to retrieve all that stuff, right?
Let me see. On September 16, 2024, following the defendant's arrest, law enforcement executed another search warrant for the hotel room the defendant was occupying, seizing all the electronics in the room, including an iPhone 11. They did this all by the book, even though if you have been following it like I have been following it, Diddy was making all kinds of accusations of them seizing things unlawfully. They had a filter team that was supposed to go in and decide what things were privileged between Diddy and his attorney. Well, that didn't work out. Let me see. A few minutes later, approximately 10:47 a.m., the defendant and staff won a voice note, an audio recording telling staff one that another member of his staff two, had located a cell phone in his residence and that the device contained information regarding a woman with whom the defendant had previously had a romantic relationship, female one, during the charged conspiracy. Specifically, the defendant stated, "I don't know how in the world, but all of a sudden this phone, I just came up, we found in the house. And it's the time from when me and female one went to the thing. So they got to be so much stuff on the hard drive of the phone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to send you a picture of it so you can see it and understand, like, this could be a big breakthrough, just like because we didn't have that phone and this phone is just sitting there. And they're just data-wise, has to be a lot of shit in that phone. I didn't delete nothing out of that phone. I'm going to send you a picture of it now."
Diggity dang. Okay. So again, I wish I had this paperwork because, we would definitely be breaking this down like a mug, but let me let Mims cook.
Approximately 6 hours later at 5:27, the defendant sent a text message to staff one. Hey, are you okay? Just let me know you're safe. 2 minutes later at approximately 5:21, the defendant sent another text asking staff one to have his lawyer, Tinny Garagos, call him. I have a 911 need, Tinny, to call this phone ASAP. Important. An hour and a half later at approximately 7:08, the defendant again texted staff one, send me Tinny's number. It's important. She needs to know. I can't play these games right now. I need to speak to my lawyer and I don't have the number. Just send me the phone number, please. Like, I can't even understand why you're not sending my lawyer my number. And I'm telling you, I have something majorly important that I have to speak to my lawyer about. Now, y'all, to me, this is sounding a little bit crackish.
That sounds like somebody who's panicked to me. Real talk, that sounds like somebody who is panicked. And yeah, a little crackish. But that sounds like somebody who is freaking out. You know what I mean? And he's speaking to my lawyer. I don't have the number. Just send me the number, please. Like, I can't even understand why you're not sending my lawyer number. And I'm telling you, I have something majorly important that I have to speak to my lawyer about. Yeah, that sounds like somebody is freaking the F out. That sounds like somebody scared out his mother-loving mind. He is very concerned. This is a man whose butthole puckered all the way up. Okay? Yeah, he's like, oh, snap. Okay, I need my lawyer. I need to talk to my lawyer right now. Why aren't you giving me her phone number? I need to talk to her right now. You don't understand. I'm not trying to get in trouble again, y'all. Come on. Send me that number. What the hell, man? See what I'm saying? He's scared. Butthole all the way puckered up.
Maybe let me put my banner up. Maybe like he's, skiing on the slopes. Because this is extremely sloppy. Any gangster worth their weight in gold could tell you that all of these text messages are discoverable. And just saying that you need to speak to your lawyer is not grounds for attorney-client privilege. Y'all, this is crazy. I want to know what's in the phone. Now,
I think everybody wants to know what's in the phone now. Okay? Everybody want to know what's in that phone now. Because why would you be tripping like this and saying, I need to get a hold of my lawyer? Please get Tenny on the phone. Get her number. Send me her number. I need it right now. Right? That would, yeah. Him being that concerned over them retrieving this phone. Yeah. I want to know what's on that phone too. Damn.
The investigators definitely want to know what's in this phone because you're basically begging to try to get it back. What was the exact words? It's just a big breakthrough.
Yeah. See, here it is though. So specifically, the defendant stated in relevant part the following. So this is him freaking the F out over here too. I don't know how in the world, but all of a sudden this phone, this particular device that they're talking about, just came up. We found in the house. I don't know how that happened. Right? So that's interesting. Right? Hold on. We're going to come back to that, but I want to see this here. Okay, so the device contained message change between the defendant and staff one, which included a string of text, audio, and picture messages the defendant and staff exchanged on June 23rd, 2024. Okay, also known as June 23rd messages, approximately 3 months after the searches of the defendant's residences. On June 23rd at approximately 10:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the defendant texts the staff, call me back is important. Good news, I think. A few minutes later, at approximately 10:47 a.m., the defendant sent staff a voice note, an audio recording, telling staff that another member of his staff 2, had located a cell phone in his residence, device 1, and that the device contained information regarding a woman with whom the defendant had previously had a romantic relationship. And she's also called female 1. So during the charged conspiracy, right? So specifically, the defendant stated in relevant part the following. So the defendant is freaking the F out. This is more than just being crackish. He probably was on something, but isn't it funny how they contained a message change, right? Which included the text, audio, and picture messages the defendant and staff exchanged on June 23rd. 3 months after the searches of his residence. On that very day, that morning, the defendant, Diddy, texts this particular staff member, call me back, okay? Because they said, okay, that another member of his staff had located a cell phone in his residence that was hidden. It had to have been hidden. How do you just suddenly go, oh, well, what the heck is this? Out of nowhere, there's another phone. What's going on here? I just found it in between the cushions of a couch. You see what I'm saying? Clearly, something was being hidden. Okay? This is not just something like, oh, it just happened to show up. Okay? So then that's why Diddy, of course, is freaking out. Right? So he's like, oh, snap, my staff, not him, his staff member found the phone. Probably he hid it somewhere. He didn't want anybody to find it. And then next thing you know, randomly, on accident, that staff, unbeknownst to them, said, oh my gosh, hey, here's another phone. We found another phone. And he's like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? I don't know how in the world, but all of a sudden this phone just came up. We found it in the house, and it's time, and it's the time from when me and female one went to that thing. Okay, so they such and such, they gotta be they such and such got to be so much stuff. There's got to be so much stuff on that hard drive of the phone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna send you a picture of it, so you can see and understand, like, this could be a big breakthrough just because, like, we didn't have the phone, and then and this phone is just sitting here, and there's just data wise has to be a lot of ish on that phone. I didn't delete nothing out of the phone. I'm just going to send you a picture of it now. This is somebody who's freaking out. To me, it sounds like somebody who's freaking out. Okay? Freaking out, and of course, trying to cover his own butt. But let's hear what Mims got to say. Yeah, a little crackish, but definitely more scared and concerned than anything else.
Skiing on the slopes. Because this is extremely sloppy. There is not grounds for attorney-client privilege. Y'all, this is crazy. Basically begging to try to get it back. What was the exact words? It's just a big breakthrough. It's a lot of shit in that phone, and I didn't delete nothing from that phone. That's telling you everything you need to know, that this is the phone that we need. It's kind of like when his son made he made a song right after things started popping off with his dad and himself, the slow one. And he was like, the feds checked the wrong house. Like, most of us.
Right. In a rap song, his son is so dumb. How dumb is he? Right? He's so dumb that he goes after his dad has been raided and arrested and looking at serious time in prison. He goes onto a track and says, yeah, you didn't even check the other house, dog. The feds were dumb enough to not check the other house. And of course the feds are like, wait, what? Wait, what other house? There's another house? Only to find out that there was another house, guys. There was a whole nother house. Real talk. How dumb can you be? Right? If you are wanted for M or something like that, and your son goes up, and just for example, right? Imagine Brian Koberger having kids, and he has a kid as dumb as Diddy's son. And he goes up and he's like, yeah. And he put on the baklava, and then he went into the car and he drove it up to the place, and he went to 4 different people. You know what I mean? You didn't check the backyard of his home, dumbass. You know what I'm saying? And then the cops are like, wait a second. What are you talking about? What about the backyard? Oh, snap. We didn't check the backyard of his parents' home. You know what I mean? He's that dumb. And of course, the son wants to stay relevant. So he's using his dad's situation to try to sell records. I'm sorry. You can't make this stuff up. Oh my God, it's dumb. You know what I mean? You got to be a special kind of dumb. Okay? But shout out to Mims for the information. Okay? But you got to be a special kind of dumb for you to go onto a track when you know they're watching everything that you and your whole family and Diddy is doing, and sit there and go, yeah, you went through all of his properties, but you forgot this other house on Star Island, idiots. And they're like, oh, thank you so much for saying that, because we're listening to everything you say. Thank you. And then they raided that home. They really did. They raided that home. So Corey's like, he's very special. He's a special boy. Yeah. He's a dumb kid. That's dumb. Okay. That's a level of dumb that I ain't never seen before. So they're still on the lunch break, or this is what they had before. Okay. Or this is what happened. Of course, they should be back by now from the lunch break, because I mean, shoot, it's 12:35. Okay. So they're back from sidebar. Wow. Wait a second. This is when they said we're going to break for lunch. There's nothing to put on. There is nothing to put on the record. So then they come back. They're back, but arguments before the jury comes back in. Headphones are being set up in the jury box. Defense wants to play them something sealed at the end of their cross-examination of June. I think he means Jane. Of Jane. Okay. So Diddy, sitting, is surrounded by a half dozen of his lawyers. Still nothing. The Diddy docket. Shout out to the Diddy docket. Secrets? What secrets? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the heck is going on here, you know? But they're still like setting things up. Yeah, they've already done the lunch break is already over. They're now trying to set things up for the jury before the jury comes in. There are certain things that they are sealing to the public because they need to, I guess they're going to listen to some stuff, but that's the jury. The jury's going to listen to that stuff. The public won't be able to hear it. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. Yeah. Lunch, for what it's worth, lunch has been about an hour long now. So today is just kind of a wild one. And they unfortunately have to have Jane done today. She has to be wrapped today. There is no choice. They have to wrap her today. So hopefully they will get things moving, because this shouldn't take this long. Dang, right? It shouldn't. So let's see what they're saying here. Okay. So let's catch up on what's happened in the court this morning. Okay. So of course, she's continuing her cross-examination. Her testimony resumed after several meetings among lawyers, prosecutors, and the judge in the robing room before the jury was seated. So ruling upheld. So judge upheld the ruling barring disclosure of the identities involved in this encounter in Vegas with the rapper, okay, the iconic rapper. The judge ruled that the encounter is not among the alleged acts connected to the STing charges in Diddy's indictment. It absolutely. And so that's one of the main reasons why I'm going, but why though? Why does the defense want that out so badly? It's interesting that the feds aren't sitting here saying, yeah, we need to expose them all. They're not even saying that. They're just like, yo, we just are focused on Diddy and what he's done. If she goes to another freak off on another person's time, that's on them. But what's interesting, right, is that the defense is probably trying to throw the other name out there to maybe throw off their scent. Does that make sense? And also to show like, hey, can't you see that this is a staple thing in the hip hop industry? They're all used to doing this kind of crazy stuff together. They all do this. This is all part of their vernacular. This is how they party. This is part of the norm, right? And also try to throw them under the bus, which, by the way, this particular person, this iconic rapper, he has been very vocal about his support for Diddy. But you also got to remember, this particular person, he gone. Like, he gone. And honestly, these are the moments when I would turn to him and be like, yo, what would your mama say right now? Do you think your mama's proud of you right now? Shoot, I would even say that to about Diddy's mom, but at the same time, can't apply that to Diddy's mom because she seems like she about it. She about that life. Okay? She don't mind that her son is a bad boy, pun intended. You know what I mean? She don't mind it. So Vegas, she testified that the rapper was on the Vegas trip, was an icon who was very close to Diddy. We already know who this person is, okay? And had spent time with the entertainer that they would hire for these hotel nights. She testified that during the encounter, the rapper and his partner asked if she knew anybody else in this lifestyle, prompting her to reach out to another entertainer Diddy and she had been with. So in other words, she goes, oh, I got a really great guy. He is fantastic. He's, his thrust game is strong. Here's his number. Call him. Let him know that Jane sent you, right? So now they're even doing like, you have any references? You got references. Let me know. Holla at your boy and his girlfriend / wife, right? So she's like, oh, yeah, call Sly. I love him. He's fantastic, great energy, huge hog, and he knows how to perform. Give him a call, right? Crazy. Unaware. So Jane testified that after Cassie filed her lawsuit, Diddy told her that he was not aware of how she had been feeling and apologized. This is after the filing of the lawsuit. When asked if she believed him, Jane said, yes, I did. She also testified that there was, quote unquote, a lot of me to wrap my head around. Yeah, because she's probably like, wow, I cannot believe I've done all of this ish. I can't believe I agreed to any of this. To me, it shows that she was very much she must have had some sort of trauma as a kid, something. I don't know. There's just something not right, which is terrible. But the fact that she keeps coming back, right? She keeps coming back, keeps getting dragged back in is pretty sad. Positive changes. So she testified that she noticed positive changes in Diddy after the lawsuit was filed, saying they experienced some growth in their relationship following their breakup and reconciliation. She says she felt more able to assert herself, which we already heard before. Ball of emotions. Okay. She recounted her earlier testimony about a physical altercation with Diddy. Okay. And this all had to do with something about another woman. She suspected him of seeing this other woman. So she testified that she was just a ball of emotions that night and that, quote unquote, there was a lot of just resentment for so many things. She previously testified at one point, Diddy pulled her up by her tippy toes in a chokehold and she couldn't breathe. When Diddy's defense attorney asked her to confirm that she had told the government that she almost couldn't breathe, she said yes. The jury also saw videos Jane took of the days following the altercation. Of course, they wanted to point out that there were no marks around her neck, which doesn't matter because there were still bruises on her freaking face. So it doesn't matter. See, you say you almost couldn't breathe. Now you're telling us now that you couldn't breathe. Which one is it, ma'am? Like, that's like, shut up. He picked her up by the neck. Okay? Picked her up by the neck. Stupid. But they're trying to move the goalpost as best as they can. See, jury, he's not that bad of a guy. He almost took her out by the neck. See, he's not a full butthole, right? Anyway, so the jury saw videos that confirmed the injuries, but not marks on her neck. She also testified that later that night, when she and Diddy went onto the patio, she punched him in the head, and then he punched back twice, okay, in her head, hence the black eye and the knot on her forehead, okay? All those things are part of it, which is ridiculous. Jane is finally back at the stand. Thank God. Took long enough. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to end a little earlier today, a little earlier than usual today. But, you know, I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Most likely I'll be back on, you know, really early in the morning to just get all the coverage that we can with this whole thing. But, man, the starts and stops are just painful. I hate today is crappy. Today is a crappy day. Okay. I'm not leaving now, but I'm leaving in a couple hours. But unfortunately, this has been, the starts and stops have just been really freaking annoying. If you appreciate the coverage and all that, let me see where we're at with the likes. Oh my God, that is just dismal. Can you do me a solid? It helps the show. Hit that like button down below. Crush it as we continue, because she is finally getting back on the stand. All right. So hit the like button down below, please. And thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay. We're trying to get to, the goal is to get to 200,000. You know, I've even thought about doing some crazy like stream marathon just for the F of it. You know what I mean? We'll find out. I don't know, you know, but I'm trying to get to 200,000. That is the goal. All right. Right here on my YouTube channel. So please just subscribe. Okay. We do a lot of content on this channel. Okay. And thank you, Spiritual. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, Erica, I'm at that place too. I've already had enough of it, because it's like, he was a monster, but he loved me. You know what I mean? It was absolute torment, but I love the gifts. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? Who are you? Oh, you know? So welcome to the world that we live in. Okay. Easter, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Your early morning and restless nights. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Yeah, your boy ain't sleeping. Your boy ain't even sleeping anymore. Okay. I'm just putting in the work. I'm just putting in work. That is it. Okay. Especially with this particular trial. It is knuckin' futs. So we're back at the testimony. Thank God. So let's get into this, okay? So they came back. They were putting in headphones and all that for the jury, so that they can hear this stuff that's going to be sealed from the public, okay? Won't be heard or seen from the public, which is also just very important information to gather, okay? So I understand the government says we can break earlier tomorrow. Okay. So we don't have to deal with evidentiary issues now. Let's finish her testimony. Bring the witness and jury back. Okay. Because he's like, yo, we have got to get going, hit the orchestral music, wrap it up, B. Let's go. Right? So they're finally getting things moving. So Garrigo starts. While you fought, Diddy was yelling, you're telling me to get You're trying to get me to never see my kids again, right? Yes. You said he was dragging you by the hair, right? Yes. I was telling him to stop. You got his phone though, right? Yes, I did. You called the woman that you were accusing him of having relations with in Miami, right? Yes. You asked her, did you go to the Grand Canyon with him? I'm asking you, woman to woman, right? That's kind of what you said, right? Yes. And said, you're worrying about the wrong things. Oh, and she said, I'm sorry. And she said, you're worrying about the wrong things. Woman to woman, right? Yes. I told her he's beating my ass. Then Sean hung up the phone, and then she called back multiple times. His phone just lit up like crazy. Did she call you a B word? Yes, she did. Did you talk about her previous relationships? Maybe. Then you called Jonathan. You were in the shower naked, but Diddy was in his pants though, too, right? Shorts. Okay. And you called him a SOB, right? No, just the B word. Okay, so just B. Then he slapped you, right? Yes, and he slapped me hard. I wonder where this is going. I want to know what he's talking about. Okay. I want to know where this is going. You see what I'm saying? Where the heck is this going? Oh, Shimon, baby. Let's see. Nothing yet. He was in his shorts. She was crying. She called him the B word. This is after he punched her multiple times in the face. She's in the shower, basically having a mental breakdown. Clearly, an emotional breakdown. She's completely she's falling apart. Let's keep it a bean, right? So she calls him the B word. And well, how does he react? In the face. And she says, hard. And it's like, well, we never, that ain't a kink he talked about before. This ain't a kink he talked about before. So let's see what's going on here. Returned from lunch, headphones distributed to the jury. Look at his team just huddling over Diddy right there in his Mr. Rogers neighborhood outfit. Okay. Oh, won't you be my neighbor? Right. Court is back in session after lunch, and Jane has returned to the witness stand. Headphones have been given to the jury, indicating some upcoming evidence that may be played is not for the public's consumption. Okay. That's it. Sheesh. Let's refresh. See if there's anything more. Okay. So you just called him the B word. Okay, fine. But then he slapped you, correct? Yes. Hard. Then he tells you to put on an outfit, right? Yes. And he grabs your phone. He went into the messages and said hi to Anton in a text thread. Okay. Let's talk about the night. Sorry. So he went into my messages and he said hi to Anton in the text thread. So it's about the night in January that you went to Las Vegas, correct? Yes. All right. How far is it from your home in the gated community to the actual gate? A minute or two? So like half a mile, you would say, give or take? Yes. I drove and let Anton in. So champagne and tequila, but still no substances as of yet. Correct? Right. I want to know where she's going with this, where Tenny Garagos is going with all this. It is a very strange thing. I am still trying to understand what she is on. Why is she doing this? You know what I mean? Why is she asking these questions in this way? But you know, she is, from what I'm gathering, she is a slow cooker. That's what I'm getting. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what she's leading to. There's literally like she making a roast. You know what I mean? Like she just it's that slow cooker. It's just sitting there, just slowly cooking. You're like, where is this going? You're supposed to be done with her. You were supposed to be done with her a long time ago. So where are we going with this, right? Why is this even existing right now? Can you explain a little bit more? Why you're asking all of this? Because it's like he I almost couldn't breathe. Wait a second. The other time you said you couldn't breathe. So what is it? Huh? Almost, or that you definitely couldn't. So he put his hands on her. Doesn't change anything, right? And then later on, which is where they're getting to the coercion part, where he jams a pill down her throat and then basically goes, girl, you better go in there and S that D, right? Yeah. Wisen up, man. This is like a pot roast in the oven. It's like, it's going to take 6-7 hours to fully cook. Okay. Before it just falls, you can cut it with a fork. Right? Livy B. Yeah. Man, I haven't heard that song in a while too. Hello, Barbara. This is Shirley. Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, this is come on. Let's get going. Okay. Woo. Okay. So you went into he went into your messages and he sent a text to Anton in the text thread that you already had with him, right? Yes. That he in the text thread that I already had started with Anton. Okay. And it's about that night in January that you went to Las Vegas with that famous rapper, right? Yes. So how far is your home? How far is your home in the gated community to the actual gate? A minute or two. So like half a mile. Yes. I drove and let Anton in. Champagne and tequila, but no substances as of yet, right? Right. So you and Diddy go into the bedroom. You told him you went to Vegas at that time, right? Yes. You told him you flashed your tatas. Not then. You told him you referred. You told you'd refer Cabral to this other rapper, right? No, I didn't say anything like that. Not yet. Did he tell you? Did he tell? Wait. Did he tell at your, how could you go to another man's freak off? Okay. Did he say, how could you go to another man's freak off? Yes. He yelled that. Then you say, Diddy told you, go out and F him, and you said no, right? I said no. Then he pushed a pill in my face. Some typos in there like crazy. But you didn't have relations with Anton. Not that kind of relations. No. And you gave Anton top, right? Yes. Then Diddy dismissed him. You told Anton you'd send him money later, right? I did. What is going on here? What is going on here? Let's see. Mo, thank you so much for the super sticker. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Wisen Up, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And just like Wisen Up, okay? Just like Wisen Up, please. Or Wise New Poet. Wow, I didn't read that like that. I saw Wisen Up. So Wise, just like Wise, please hit that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can't. If you can, I mean. All right. But most importantly, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Crush that like button, please, and thank you. Okay. And don't forget to subscribe. Okay. We're still covering this trial. It's gonna be a long one. It's gonna be a long one. Okay. But nonetheless, she went, performed, performed top on him, okay? And then he let him go. Diddy let him go, and then apparently she say something along the lines of like she Ubered him money, like he left money for her to pay Anton, and then she gave it to an Uber, and that Uber dropped off that money for Anton. Okay, so she ended up paying Anton, not Diddy. Moving on. This was the first time you didn't have an intimate moment with your partner after the entertainer left, right? Yes, that's true. And he said again, I can't believe you went to another man's freak off, right? Yes. Talking about that rapper, right? Yes. He just kept saying, how could you have gone to another freak off? Right? Yes. After that, you called and texted each other, right? Yes. You went to see him and broke up? We had an 8 to 9 hour breakup conversation. Thank you, Ross and Rachel. See, like I've been saying, on again, off again, on again, off again. We were on a break. We were on a break. You know what I mean? As we wait, we'll see what CNN has to say. So she addresses again the post-altercation phone call with another woman. So at some point after he punched her in the face, she got a hold of his phone and called the woman she believed was on a recent trip with Diddy. So the woman told Jane she was worried about the wrong things and shouldn't be panicking. The two women traded insults on the phone, and when Jane said, he's beating my ass right now, he hung up the phone. It appeared that the woman called Diddy back more than once after that, but he didn't pick up. Then Diddy, FaceTime his assistant, Jonathan. Remember? He FaceTimed Jonathan, and then she was in the corner crying, right? So he FaceTimed the assistant, okay, and he could, and the assistant could tell that Jane, and he could, and sorry, so that he could tell Jane that the other woman did not go on this family trip, okay? That's what was going on, right? Yeah, what's frustrating about this particular cross is that they keep on talking about this incident. They keep on hopping around this particular incident, okay, the one that happened where the whole physical altercation at her home, and then they keep on talking about the Las Vegas freak off that she attended. Like they just keep on hopping back and forth to those two things over and over again, over and over and over again. And I'm like, what are they getting at? Why are they saying this? Why is there such a focus on this? Right? Who cares if she went to another freak off or attended another version of a freak off with a famous rapper? Who cares? But they keep saying that over and over and over again. And so I'm like, what is going on here? Right? And yeah, so, well, yeah, I guess that's a good question. Was it her house? Technically, it isn't her house, but technically it was. But this whole thing happened at her house. She set it all up because she wanted to spend time with Diddy. And then champagne, tequila, she starts acting a damn fool. She was at wit's end, pretty much. And then I don't know, maybe there's another break going on. I don't know. Or another sidebar or something. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just seeing if there's any more filler. Within this. Yeah, it's the same stuff. Pretty much. Which is also very interesting. So, you talk about that rapper. Yes. He just kept saying, how could you have gone to another rapper's freak off? Yes. After that, you called and texted each other. Yes. You went to see him and you broke up after that, right? Yes. We had an 8 to 9 hour breakup conversation. That's a long ass conversation, y'all. So you saw him traveling with another woman in Wyoming and that upset you too, right? I was at home with a black eye. You hadn't had forced relations with Anton, right? It was forced oral, she says. As we wait. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe they are listening to the audio tape for sure. But I feel like, inner city press would be like, jury is listening to the audio tape or something of that sort, right? At least that's what you'd think. But they haven't said anything yet. So it's very odd, to say the least. Let's see if there's more. I mean, I will say this. That's most definitely forced. If her story is true and he, jammed a pill in her mouth and then said, go S that D, after he just physically put his paws on her like that, yeah, that's forced. Even if it's top, even if she's performing top, it still is. That's still forced. So yeah, that's forced, y'all. And we're almost at 1K, so hit that like button down below, please. And thank you. All right. I know it's a Thursday. Everyone's tired. It's been a long week of this testimony. But again, new stuff will be coming out tomorrow, I'm sure. Let's refresh here again. See if there's anything now. Shimon Lee. Okay. So it was forced top. Okay. 26 seconds. It's 26 seconds old right now. Okay. Prosecution says play a video, not for the public to hear. Okay. So they all have you're right. You guys were right. They're playing something on their headphones. Okay. So they say we hear nothing. So I will read his response. This is what Garrigo says. Mr. Combs says, I'm not going to belittle myself for someone named Bear or for my friend. That means the rapper, right? Yes. So he's like, basically it sounds like I ain't going to trip. I ain't going to trip over over my boy or over Bear, over your friend. I'm not going to trip over that. I'm not stooping that low. Forget it. I got things to do. I'm Diddy. Yeah. I'm still wondering, how did he come up with What happened? What happened? Was he in the studio and they're like, yo, you need to do that in every song that you do. Every song that you do, you got to do the Go in there. Just do it real quick. Can you do it with a little bit more energy? No. Act like you just found out you're about to get arrested and you're looking at time behind bars for life. Perfect. Thank you. You're done. You can go. Woo! I'm tired. Now I need to sleep. All this all day. Okay. So he says, I'm not going to belittle myself for someone named Bear or for my friend Kanye. I'm not going to do that. I got better things to do. The hell you talking about? I'm good, right? So also Diddy wrote, sorry, I didn't take you on your I didn't take you on trips. I was tripping. The baby daddy, you and KK would have talked yourself into paranoia. You didn't get along with KK, right? I didn't. Put on headphones. Put on the headphones and press play. So we hear nothing again. So he said, sorry, I didn't take you on trips. I was tripping. The baby daddy, you and KK would have talked yourself into paranoia. You didn't get along with KK now, did you? I did not. Something happened with my my platform, it's a little frozen, but I'm reading your chat. I can still see your chat. It's just that I can't click on things. But real quick, little off topic, yes, but thank you, Valerie. Lori Daybell sentencing set for July 25th. Wait, so she was found guilty? No. And didn't the defense rest in the Karen Reed trial as well? Didn't defense just finish yesterday? Okay. Didn't they? So I'm quite curious about that. The Karen Reed case that everybody's willing to die about. Okay. And I'm sure we'll be hearing a verdict here very, very soon, right? So, moving on. Yeah, I'm not going to belittle myself for someone named Bear or for my friend Kanye. Okay. Yes, that is the rapper that he's referring to. The rapper, yes. So, Diddy wrote, "Sorry I didn't take you on trips. I was tripping. The baby daddy, you, and KK would have talked yourself into paranoia. You didn't get along with KK, now did you?" I did not. Put on the headphones and let's press play. We hear nothing. Court staffer hands her headphones and they restart. Diddy is leaning over, listening to the same headphone as Agnifilo. Okay. Pause there. You bring up OF there. You've been on it for at least 4 or 5 months at that point, right? So you're earning good money at that point. You're earning well, right? Yes, I am. I mean, shoot, it is OF. And, you know, if she's a pretty girl, I'm sure if she was a model, clearly she's good looking. So, yeah, she's making money because, you know, the world that we live in is dirty as F. We are dirty mother lovers up in here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to refresh this page. Give me 2 seconds. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. It's just everything's frozen on my end. So I'm just going to refresh.